welcome back to Building with the Boys. Quite excited about this. We're out today. We had no intention of picking this up, didn't even know this was out, but we have managed to get ourselves issue 1 of the Hachette Build the Titanic. And this is one we're definitely doing. However, how we're doing it, I don't know. There's actually 2 versions of this ship being released this year. One through Eaglemoss, which is very heavy on the wood. I mean, you do all the individual decking yourself, so if, you know, wood's your thing, that's the one to go for. And this one from Hachette, which I believe has already gone around once before, but I think this one's had some tweaks made to it. Now, we're not doing the Eaglemoss one. We are going to be doing the Hachette version. However, there's 3 options on this one. So we can either get it weekly. I think the first 8 issues are fortnightly, and then it turns to weekly. So we might put a subscription in with the newsagent or WH Smith, something like that, and get it weekly, pick it up weekly. Or we may subscribe through Hachette and get it monthly. Now, I know the first 4 months, it's 2 issues a month. So if you're planning on subscribing to this, read the small print, because for the first 8 issues, it's 2 a month, not the standard 4. Don't know why, but it is. And then the third option is Agora Models are actually going to be carrying this from May. So if you subscribe to this in May, you will get packs of 10 at a time, which means you will sail past the Hachette subscribers, because you'll eclipse what they're doing. You'll be a year into it. You'll be in 5 months. You'll have built a year's worth doing it through the Hachette subscription way. So the choice is yours how to do it. I think we're probably going to go the Agora method, because we will finish the Route Master in October, and Ecto 1 through Eaglemoss I think is going to finish around about May or June, ship independent. And we're going to be looking for something else to do. Now, we were looking at the Batmobile, but I'll be honest with you, the 66 Batmobile just ain't my Batmobile. It isn't. Okay, it's I like it. It's a nice looking model, but the 66 Batmobile just ain't my Batmobile. If this had been the 89 Batmobile, that was the one that that was my Batmobile as a kid, I'd be all over it. But it's not, it's the 66, and I have no real affection for the 66 Batmobile. It's just not my era. I mean, I like the show. I used to watch it when I was a kid, but I was never really, you know, blown away by it. But I was 10 when the Tim Burton movie came out. Blew my mind, and that was my Batmobile. So if this had been the 89, I'd have been doing it in a heartbeat. But the 66, no, I'm building it for the sake of building it. So it's just not, I have no love for it. So I'm looking for a build, and I'm definitely doing the Titanic. I think this is a gorgeous boat, and I think the history of the Titanic is always, in everything about it, the Titanic, the history of it, the story of it, from everything from the passengers down to what actually happened on that night, which is still largely unknown. I mean, it's purely a handful of testimonies from survivors on board which actually state what happened. A lot of this has been pieced together of exactly what happened, and we'll go into that as we're building this. So I'm going to crack on with part 1. We're going to see what the build's like, because I mean, if it sucks, we're not building this one at all. So we'll take a look at the magazine and some of the features of the model, and we'll get into it. Here is everything you get with part 1. So you get your first model parts. Now you'll notice no screws. Weird for part work, but no screws. We have the kind of selling material here, which tells you about the boat. But then the part that we're going to be interested in is the specs of the boat itself. Now, this boat is going to be 134 centimeters, and in old money, that is 4.5 foot. Tells you everything you've got. So you've got the lifeboats, you've got the accessories on board, you've got the smoke effects, which are really cool. Now, I know what the next 5 issues are, and I know that you start working on the electrics for the smoke effects in issue 4. You got die-cast hull, working lights, rotating propellers, running engines. You can, I like that. You can move the panel in the hole so you can see the engine in action. That's pretty sweet. The remote control's quite a gorgeous little thing. And you can see that it does the lights, the whistle, the smoke. You can also send the SOS signal from the Titanic with it. Nice thing, beautiful thing. And then, get rid of this. The magazine itself. Now, those familiar with Hachette will recognise these staples on the side. Thus, you can put these into a binder. There is the option to go premium if you sub to it, where you can get what's going to be a massive display case, because that thing's got to be 5 foot. It's got to be for an extra £1 an issue. I don't think that's bad, to be honest with you. You can see what else you've got coming. The free gifts and whatnot, and all your gubbins. Pocket watch, I'm not really blown away by that. Screwdriver set, I don't need another screwdriver set. Binder, always useful. I like the White Star Line metal poster, that's quite nice. And you get issue 3 free if you subscribe from issue 2 onwards. So that's what you get there. And then naturally the magazine is going to go into all about the Titanic. Now there are literally hundreds of books about the Titanic, so they're going to have no problem filling this. And all of it's fascinating, you know. It really is. There's a lot more to the Titanic than a Leonardo DiCaprio movie, you know. And then our instructions on how to build our first parts. So I'm going to get into it, and we're going to build the forecastle, and let you know how we get on. So here we have the first parts of the forecastle. We've got all our little bits and pieces there. Something I'm very impressed by. Okay, so this is wood. It might not look it because it's very thin, and it does have an adhesive back, so we're not screwing this down. This will stick in place, but this is genuinely wood. What I am impressed by is this. Now, the camera's not going to pick this up, it just isn't, but this has clearly been textured, so this will stick better to this. So the adhesive will work well, because this has got rough texture to it, which means it's got something to cling to. If this was completely smooth, I'd be concerned this was going to start peeling up and things like that, but it isn't. So yeah, I'm very impressed by that. It's nice. It's a promising sign early doors. So I'm going to stick this to this, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, so that is the decking applied, and relatively painless. It's gone on quite lovely. It's very strong adhesive on here, so I'm quite impressed with that. Next we are going to be adding the winches, the air vents and the anchor. Now I have read here they mention that using glue. So they've said they've tried to keep glue to a minimum on this. We'll see if that pans out to be true. But we are going to be using glue in this issue. So again, if for you Partworks is all about, you know, screws and not gluing, this one's probably not going to be for you, because you are going to need to use super glue. If you go into use super glue, the one I would recommend using is Loctite Power Gel. The reason why it's thicker, I mean, super glue has a tendency to be runny and a bit of a pain in the backside, whereas this stuff here, it's thick, you have a lot more control over it. It takes slightly longer to dry, which gives you a little bit more play time if you need to move something about. And when I say it's longer to dry, we're still talking, you know, 20-30 seconds before this dries, but as opposed to the liquid super glue, which after 5 seconds it's where it's going to be and it's going to stay there. So yeah, I'd recommend this one. So we're going to crack on with the anchor, the winches and the vents, and take a look what it looks like. And there we have our first anchor installed. The first 3 winches and the 2 air vents. Next we are going to be installing the bits, which are another name for bollards, and a small skylight. Those are going to go along the edges here. But I do like it. I mean, already you know, I quite like this. I really do. So that's our 6 bits installed. These are these pieces around the sides here, and then this here is the skylight. Now that gives you an idea of just how huge this boat was and how small a scale we're actually modelling. This is a 1/200 scale. This was a skylight, which gives you an idea of The anchor's deceptive because you're thinking, well, it's a little anchor. No, that anchor would have been humongous. That anchor would have been, you know, size of a van. So it's yeah, it's a huge model. This, and you can see already. I mean, just these little details are already making this thing come to life. Beautiful thing. Okay, so we have now installed. Just flip this light on. We've now installed the breakwaters here, which is pretty self-explanatory what those are for and about, and our first ventilation duct. And we're nearly done. What we are going to do is we are going to use some glue next. So over here, we're going to install the hatch, and we are going to use just a touch of glue to do that. And then finally, we're going to install some steam valves into the back, and then we are done for part one. And that is part one complete. So we've got the hatch in place now, and these details here. And I think this is really lovely. I really do. I'm digging this. I really am. That's already very detailed for what is a tiny part of the ship, an iconic part of the ship. There you go, film fans. That's where Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet would have been stood, even though you can't actually access it on the real boat. I like this. I like this a lot. So we'll do a bit of a wrap up, and we'll have a chat about it. So that's that. That's part one complete, and I'm very happy with that. I think it's gorgeous. I mean, there's a lot more to go on this part, and that won't be for a long time yet. But that is that's really nice. I really do like that. Coming in issue 2, we get the first parts of the hull, which is our first sort of lump of metal for this, and a screwdriver, as standard with the part. The part work model will get a little screwdriver to go with it. I like this. I really like this, and I think I'm gonna just go ahead. I don't think I'm gonna wait until May for the Agora one. I'd like to, but I think I'd just like to get on with this. I don't know, maybe after the initial kind of excitement sort of passed, maybe I'll feel differently about it. But I think this is lovely, I really do. And I think the finished model is going to be an absolute beauty. I really do. I'm not intimidated by having to use glue. I mean, I know some people prefer to do a part work as opposed to your standard model kits, because you don't have to use glue or sprue cutters or anything like that. And I know that that's not for everyone. The kind of traditional model kits, Airfix, companies like that, Revel, aren't for everyone. They're not for me. I mean, I'll openly admit this. The painting is not something that I particularly enjoy. So it's the one thing that sort of put me off the Revel kits. Put them together, and the Airfix kits. I don't enjoy the paint work. I don't enjoy painting them. I don't enjoy painting anything. I'll be honest with you. It's not just models. I don't enjoy painting anything. I don't enjoy painting walls. And the intricacy of painting's not for me. I know for some people that's what it's all about. They enjoy the paintwork. I don't. I just don't. It's not something that I've ever really got into. But the actual build, gluing these parts together, no, I've no problem with that at all. And this is a beaut. I mean, as iconic vehicles go, the Titanic, who doesn't know what that is? I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, as the tragedy of what happened on that night is horrible. I mean, horrendous. And I mean, thankfully it changed the way shipping worked, the way everything worked, safety. I mean, everything. We went on the Titanic, and Titanic has entered our ethos. As you know, it was a Titanic failure. And man, does fate love irony? The unsinkable Titanic. I mean, shit. Don't name your boat the Unsinkable. But it's just such an iconic. It's such an iconic vehicle, and it's part of our our global history, our modern history. It really is. And it's ancient history now. It's over 100 years ago that this happened. 110 years ago. 110 years, as of January, 110 years ago this happened. which is crazy, absolutely crazy. But yeah, it's something I've just got to do. I've got to. It's the Titanic, man. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and this is a lovely model. It really is. And I am looking for a new model to begin, and I think this has got to be it. And to see this thing all lit up, blowing smoke, with propellers turning, the little anchors going up and down, I'm all over it. I've also got two very funny stories about personal experiences with Titanic. One of them I'll save for another day because I've got to make sure I word it right because I don't come out of it looking great. But and the other one, I've got to check non-disclosure agreements that I signed at the time regarding a project that involved the Titanic, which was possibly the one of the least tasteful things I've ever seen proposed. But I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement to discuss, I can tell you this much, an amusement based around the Titanic. But that's a story for another day. So when we do this build, when we hit issue 50, I'll tell you my Titanic story about the amusement. When we hit issue 100, I'll tell you the other Titanic story, which I think I probably would have had time to work out a good way to word it without me looking like complete garbage. But this is a beautiful thing. I think this is going to be absolutely gorgeous, and it is 4.5 foot long, which gives me another problem of where the bloody hell do I put this thing. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I don't know. I'm thinking up. I'm going to have to build a high shelf in this room. Well, we're not still going to be here. We'll have actually moved out of where we are, so there'll be a whole new man cave. So who knows? When we go house shopping, I'll have to look for somewhere that can store a Titanic. Anyway, I am doing this build 100%. Part 2 is not out for another 2 weeks. When it is, if you'd like to join me here, subscribe to the channel, and you're about to see the full build from start to finish. You'll also be able to see the builds we're doing on the channel, which are R2-D2, Iron Man, Ecto 1, and the Route Master. So we've got 5 going now with Titanic, and then the other little ones that come up in between. We have Oscar Loves Lego, which is Oscar's reviews of Lego minifigs and characters. We have Talking Marvel, which if you're into your Marvel, come and join us and chat comics and chat some superheroes. And we have Jack the Wooden Boy, which we do scratchwork wooden builds with Jack, and he's had a load for Christmas. So we've got some fun things coming up with bird feeders and bird houses and things of that kind. Happy New Year to all of you. I hope 2022 is a lot better than 2020 and 2021. Fingers crossed, huh? Have a good one. Take care wherever you are, and in a world where you can be anything, be nice. And I'll see you in 2022.